It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We love.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The You-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at youlike.com, because at YouLike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. YouLike. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AdPace.
AdPace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are live in Central Texas. We're always live somewhere in the continental United States of America. And we are presented by Slovacics, thanks to our good friends out there in West. And if you're on 35 this weekend or any other weekend or right now today, I want you to stop at Slovacics. Tell Ray that we sent you. I'm not sure that it'll get you a discount, but it'll get you a smile probably. And it'll get you some kolaches if that's what you want. Socorro Family Ford, of course. I saw my man Gordon Harriman from Crawford Austin Properties yesterday. Best commercial real estate in Central Texas, maybe in the country. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, of course. We are so pumped to bring you another live edition of the Pete Sousa Show on July 10th. And I want to start with breaking news. I told Scotty I would do this. I learned this morning the Baylor Bears are a 2.5-point underdog to start the season against Auburn. And that is a situation where the Big 12, I don't think, getting the respect it deserves. There's one way you get it, though. You go out and earn it in week one. So who cares that you're a 2.5-point underdog and what that might say about the overall view of the Big 12 versus the SEC, right? Baylor, Auburn. Baylor's a top team in the Big 12, and Auburn is a middling team in the SEC. And I have a reason, though, as to why Baylor will win. Earlier, I think it was last week, but this came on my radar this morning. Hugh Freeze. There was an article in Golf Digest about Hugh Freeze, and I think it was linked to maybe some of Auburn's recruiting struggles. Hugh Freeze is playing too much golf. Apparently, Hugh Freeze enters all of his golf scores in like this gem app, and he's playing a lot of golf, dude. So that could be an issue maybe for the Tigers, and that could be helpful for Baylor. I know when I was working in PR in Charlotte, Bernie Bickerstaff was the head coach, and I remember Bernie's thing was like, "Yo, if you're playing golf, like during the season, it's like you are not." Now it is the off season for Hugh Freeze, but if you're playing a lot of golf, you're not doing your job. That's what Bernie said. But of course, I wouldn't say that Bernie's home is decorated with Larry O'Brien trophies and championship rings, so you can do it your way. Although Bernie, amazing coach, trailblazer. Okay, Big 12 Media Days. Coach Prime yesterday. I felt like it was a softened version of Coach Prime. I felt like just kind of reading between the lines, there was definitely the health thing with Coach Prime has me concerned just because I absolutely love him. And that's why I'm concerned. No other reason. I really don't even think it will affect how Colorado plays this year. But I know he has been working on his health, and it hasn't been in Boulder, Colorado. Folks around the program were saying yesterday it's great to see him. Some of the guys that travel with the team to Media Day because they hadn't seen him recently. And he began his press conference by thanking Brett Yormark. And you could tell it was a genuine thank you. He thanked Yormark for reaching out to him every day, checking on his health. He also talked about other coaches in the Big 12 who have reached out to him constantly, checking on his health. And he said, I love the Big 12. There's no animosity. We have the best coaches in college football, the best guys in college football as far as who they are as people. And he mentioned that he wants to beat them all, but he loves them. And him to begin like that, it just makes me, there's a circle that I'm not a part of, right? That 99.9% of us are not a part of. And you got to be really close to those college football coaches and guys like Brett Yormark. I'm not even sitting here saying, like, I know what's going on with him, but I'm not at liberty to share. I don't know. I mean, we can think it's like a lower body situation, right? When you go back to, having he almost had his foot amputated. It got really bad when he was at Jackson State a couple years ago. So you just want to, that was an observation where I was like, man, this is kind of concerning. And he just seemed, like I said, a little softened. But then he got into, and this was awesome, he got into Colorado and some of their, and he said this off the top. He almost had prepared statements. But Colorado, and this was an amazing statistic, okay? Last year, Colorado was on ESPN, an ESPN flagship network, so that's ESPN or ESPN2, or a national television broadcast like Fox or CBS, for every week. Only team in college football I could find, only team, right, that had that. And I could be wrong. I was looking it up. I was using AI. I couldn't find any other team that had that for every single game. I would imagine like Ohio State was in there, or Georgia. They had to have been. Like, I don't see Georgia playing on ESPN Plus, but maybe ESPNU. I don't know. But it was pretty interesting to see that, and it kind of lets you know where Colorado is among the heavyweights in college football. Last year, they were must-see TV. This year, they will be again. Regardless of the fact that you lose Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, like Coach Prime said yesterday, we don't have those stars, but we're a better team. He said that right to Matt Berry, Brock Osweiler, and Greg McElroy. We're a better team, and I believe they are. And look no further than the fact that this is the third straight top 25 recruiting class that Colorado has had. When you lump that in with the transfers they've had and the recruits they have brought in, there is like a grassroots operation meets like current day NIL college football situation where I believe Colorado is good in all the places they probably were not as good at when Deion took over. And I think that makes it easy for them to cushion the blow of losing Shadur, Travis Hunter, and Coach Prime would say Shiloh, and other superstars from that team. So another number that Coach Prime dropped that is just a great indication of what Colorado has done. This is the third year in a row, third season in a row where they have sold out preseason tickets for CU football. Before Coach Prime took over, it had been 26 years since they did that. Only the 11th time that they've sold out preseason. And then at one point during his opening remarks, he goes to Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin was there with him. And he just says, "Where's Michael Irvin? I love you." And he almost started to get choked up. Like it was, "I love you to life." That was his big comment yesterday. But then when The Athletic wanted to ask him about, "Hey, what's going on with your health, Coach Prime?" First of all, he was like, "The Athletic." He's like, "You guys come at me with that bull junk." But he wasn't. There's sometimes when Coach Prime can be almost hostile with the media. And you can say it's like that thing, like, I don't like this saying, but I've heard it before as it relates to this situation, like, ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. Coach Prime in Colorado are such a force and such a power, and there is such a thirst for them in the public eye that they can sort of do what they want media-wise, or they feel like they can. And it's a new day, right? So he called The Athletic out on the carpet and then wouldn't talk about his health at all. And the guy from The Athletic did a great job. He said, "Hey, what's your day-to-day like health-wise?" And he just said, "Hey, I'm here to talk about my team, not my health." But he gave an indication that like he was doing well. I'm not sure how true that is, and I respect the fact that that's his privacy, and Coach Prime can do whatever he wants with that. Another thing that he said that you won't see anywhere else is that he put Mike Zimmer and Byron Leftwich right on the spot. He talked about their coaching at Colorado and how there's a standard there and how there's an NFL standard, really, with all the coaches that they have, whether it's Pat Shurmur, Robert Livingston, right, OC and DC, both guys with NFL experience. And then he wants Zimmer and Leftwich. He's got Warren Sapp on the staff. He has Marshall Faulk on the staff. 160 years of NFL experience right now his coaching staff has. With Mike Zimmer and Leftwich, he would have 204. He was putting on the press, man. He was like, "You guys got to join," right? Like, publicly recruiting them, publicly pressuring them, which I thought was pretty cool. And then here's something that Coach Prime, like, if I tried this, how about this? How about if Matt Campbell or Joey McGuire tried this? I think they would be in maybe a little bit of trouble. Coach Prime, and I love this, is like, "Hey, first question, I want to hear from a woman in the audience." So they go to a woman. The first thing, and I wasn't there yesterday. I was there 2 days ago, right? I came back here for the people, right? So we could give you a boots on the ground here in Waco idea of what happened there yesterday. Or maybe I just came back. But Coach Prime said to this young woman, "I love your hair. I love your hair." Could you imagine, like, if Joey McGuire said that? Like there's a difference. Like, so Coach Prime can say that we take him to task a lot and we're, whatever. Like, there's not too many dudes who could get away with that. And everybody's like chuckling, I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then one other thing from his availability that I took away that I thought was pretty cool. It was just like another Coach Prime moment where a young man from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram got up to ask a question, and he said who he was with. And Coach Prime goes, "Man, y'all used to come at my neck. Y'all used to come at my neck." And the dude says, "Hey, man, I just got here." And everybody laughed. I was like, good for that guy. Yeah, that was pretty cool. A couple other things football-wise. I am so enamored with the fact that, okay, it looks like Caden Salter is going to be the starter for Colorado, right? I mean, just a great career at Liberty. He's an experienced quarterback. He started a ton of games. I think when I looked at the Big 12 starting quarterbacks yesterday, Jaden Daniels has started 33 games. So that's the most of anybody who's returning. Jalen Daniels, thank you, has started 33 games. And Salters has started, he's up there. I mean, he's like top 3 off the top of my head. But Juju Lewis is 17 years old. He'll turn 18 in September. Now, that's kind of interesting. Like, that's fun in games when you're talking about like Jaden Quaintance, right? When I was calling games last year for ESPN college basketball, Jaden Quaintance was 17 all season long, to the point where he couldn't even get in the NFL draft or the NBA draft, mind you, because of his age. This is football, so like it's almost like a little bit more like eye-opening. Like, wow. So we might have a 17-year-old running around out there early in the season for Colorado. One thing Coach Prime was a real straight shooter about was like he didn't know who was going to start. I think we would all think that it's Caden Salter, but we're going to find out. He said you can't lose with either one of them, and he said he'd be fine if both quarterbacks played early in the season. So I think that it's not necessarily. Maybe it is a little gamesmanship. Maybe he knows that Caden Salter is going to be the one who starts. But it was a lot of fun to see Coach Prime out there again, and it really. It felt like a celebration of college football and a celebration for him because he's back up there, he's healthy, and he's going to Papados as well. He was talking about they asked him about playing back in Texas this year because he's going to play TCU and Houston. And he said he loves Sonny Dykes, and he said, he's sitting in Frisco, and he talked about Texas being his home away from home. And he was like, I was in Papados recently, and Sonny and his whole staff came in. Like, come on. Can I please get that draw where I like Papados? Can I please be in Papados when Coach Prime comes into Papados, right? And then also coming into Papados is Sonny Dykes and his staff. So a lot of fun yesterday just watching Coach Prime. Coach Prime is so electric. I mean, he's the one guy. I will read all the quotes. I will do like an enormous amount of research, right, on these games, on these teams as I ramp up for the football season, talking about Inside the 12, the show I do for the Big 12 Conference. You can see it on all of your Big 12 or on TV and all your Big 12 markets, and, of course, on Big 12 Studios, the YouTube page. And then also calling games. I do a ton of research, but there's really only one guy who I just sit there and stare at for a 20-minute press conference on video, and that's Coach Prime because he's special. So the Pete Sousa Show, 5 days a week. Make sure you like and subscribe if it's your first time around. We are presented by Slovaceks. Just got a call from my man, Tom Connell. Great guy in the world of sobriety. I'll call him back. Tom Connell was my counselor when I first tried to get sober at 27. That didn't work out. Now he's a friend, 13 years sober. Good stuff. Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys, they'll make you drink, okay? Kelvin Watkins had a great story for the Dallas Morning News, and we're going to bring Scotty in momentarily. I know these – look, I know this topic sucks for a lot of people. You see this, and it's like, what is ESPN First Take? Are they producing your show? I wish they were. That means I'd be on First Take. That's not the case. I'm producing the show, okay? And Scotty is helping produce the show. And Kelvin Watkins this morning really helped produce the show because as I scour publications and the interweb, the internet, I still wish, as a guy who hosts a daily show, I really what I need to do is just get the Dallas Morning News delivered. I hate not having real newspapers. I would love to have a real newspaper right here. Every time I go to print something off on the goddamn printer, there's not enough ink. Like, let me give you one piece of advice. Don't take shortcuts when you're buying a printer. I've done it like 100 times, and every time I'm like, God damn it, this thing's out of ink again? And I'm just talking the black and white ink, because even if I go to this print-friendly website where it tells me it's going to print just the bones of the article out, I'm still looking at, and I want to talk about Tom Brady and Sofia Vergara later on, I'm still looking at this giant Instagram pic of Sofia Vergara when I print the article from the New York Post. Not that that's a terrible thing to look at, but it used up all the ink in my printer. So back to the Dallas Morning News story this morning that we are reacting to. This is not this is fair for us to talk about this morning because we're reacting to what Kelvin Watkins wrote. about Dak Prescott going into his 10th season as the Cowboys' starting quarterback. What will his legacy be? Training camp starts in 10 days. That's when rookies will arrive in Oxnard for the Dallas Cowboys. Unbelievable. I want to read you this quote that Dak said. And to me, it shows a little bit about some of the pressure that surrounds this position. And this was a bit of a word salad quote. It was in the article. And that's not on Kelvin Watkins. It's on, it's actually a good quote, but I think it illustrates where Dak's head is at going into the season, all over the place. Here it is. Quote, "Be damned if it's for my personal legacy or it's for this team. Hold on. Okay, let me read it again. Be damned if it's for my personal legacy or if it's for this team. It's for my sanity overall. Yeah, the legacy will take care of itself. I just have to stay where my feet are." But basically, like, I appreciate it in one respect because he's saying if I don't win a title, I'm going to go crazy, right? Like, I'll never be able to have scratched that itch. And I don't think he's going to win a title. It's been 29 years since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. I think you could probably roll the dice and say it's going to be 30. And if you take a look at where Dak Prescott if he retired today, and we're talking about legacy now, where does Dak Prescott rank among the best quarterbacks that haven't won a Super Bowl? Well, he doesn't, okay? The highest paid quarterback in the history of the sport, and I understand a lot of that is about where we are in the marketplace, but hey, those are stone cold numbers. He doesn't even rank in the top 10 statistically, or, just if I were to give, a football coach an opportunity to talk about this, like a real coach that knew what was going on. I got a couple guys here. I can go through 10 right now. McNabb, Dan Fouts, Steve McNair, Warren Moon, Carson Palmer, Fran Tarkenton, Jim Kelly, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, and, of course, Dan Marino. And the active quarterbacks who haven't won a title. He's not as good. I'd put him at 5 on that list. Okay, you ready? Lamar Jackson. He's won 2 MVPs. Josh Allen. Nobody in the first 7 seasons of pro football has thrown as many touchdowns in their first 7 seasons as Josh Allen has. Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. Like, and okay, I get it. You're like, wait a minute. That's a bridge too far with Jared Goff. Actually, it's not. He's played in a Super Bowl, and he played in a conference championship last year, and the dude might be playing for a Super Bowl this year. Scotty Swingler, I bring you in now, somebody who is real quick to jump on Dak Prescott.
A registered Dak Prescott hater.
I mean, you're not a hater.
I am a little bit. I'll own it. I have been for a long time.
Okay. Just last little stat on this, right? If you were to look at current NFL quarterbacks and the number of playoff wins they have on that list, I don't need to go through it. I can just tell you that Dak Prescott is 15th. That's current NFL starting quarterbacks and their playoff
and consider how many of those starters have only entered the league in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So what as far as you're concerned, because Kelvin Watkins stirred up this topic this morning, right? And, Watkins, I think, comes down on the side of legacy is defined by Super Bowl wins.
Yep.
Okay. And I think we can all agree on that.
Yep.
Forget the ring chasing conversation with LeBron and whoever else. He hasn't won a Super Bowl and he hadn't come close. And here's my take on Dak. The moment he was no longer playing with house money, and it happens a lot.
Yeah.
The sphincter gets tight, dude. Like really, it just changes the game. Out of the gate, Tony Romo is supposed to start. He gets hurt. Dak goes 13-3, right? You're just playing fast and loose, and you got a great team.
Great team is the key word there.
So, all right, Scotty, I know you, again, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. As we are in July, and we're talking about Dak's legacy, I think that's okay as far as talk shows go.
Sure. And like you said, it's a Dallas Morning News article. We didn't come up with this from scratch.
Yeah.
Calvin Watkins did that.
Yeah.
What can I say, man, that I haven't said? Dak is perpetually disappointing. And the biggest difference for me, and again, It's a shtick, y'all. I'm gonna keep doing it. This is how I feel. Tony Romo has a better fourth quarter comeback number than every quarterback you just named. Every single one of them. I looked it up for a long time this morning. Tony Romo was a guy. The argument is same number of playoff wins. Also didn't win a Super Bowl. Bottom line, that's why Troy Aikman's an all-timer and Tony Romo's not. Is Troy Aikman won the Super Bowls, right? But Tony Romo is a guy that you knew, and the stats bear it out. Yeah. If the game's close in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys are going to win. And whether it's defense was bad or injuries caught up to Romo or whatever, there's all these reasons he never won the big one. Dak is the opposite. Dak, there have been many times when the team around Dak, I'm like, whoa, this roster. But if it's tight in the fourth quarter, I'm like,
you don't feel good about it. That's not the guy you want playing quarterback.
Game. Yeah, Dak's not going to win this game.
And how scary is that when he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL?
It's horrible. I mean, and when we made that deal with him, I knew it was horrible, right?
Yeah.
So, I feel like I have to put all these qualifiers on it. Like I understand people love the guy. Good locker room guy, good culture guy, good leader of men. Like Walter Payton Man of the Year guy. Like, thank you, Dak Prescott. I don't have any ill will towards you as a human. But I'm over it at quarterback, man, and I have been for a couple years.
We got to ask Mosley, too. I'd like to ask somebody who is on the inside. As an athlete and as somebody who's watched sports forever, I know that leaders, unless they're like a decorated guy on the way out that's there just to stabilize the locker room, right? But if you're not like a winner, if you're the quarterback, your voice in the locker room isn't quite as strong and impactful. It's way easier for Des Bryant to roll his eyes at Dak Prescott this season. I truly believe that. As we continue to go on, it's like, dude, what have you done? I mean, like,
well, gosh, dude, we could rewind 5 years. Dak Prescott's in the offseason for 5-6 seasons now. It spends the offseason saying, we got to win. We got to win. We got to get to the Super Bowl. Like, this is not a new message from Dak.
Yeah.
He's been saying this because it's true, and he knows it's true.
But I thought that quote was revealing because he literally was basically saying, like, I'm going to go crazy if we don't win a Super Bowl.
Well, and what you didn't mention that Calvin Watkins wrote out in clear terms, he will become, unless he gets injured, which, by the way, that's part of why paying him so much money is a bad idea. He is not guaranteed to stay healthy.
No.
But if he plays a full season or close to it, he will pass Tony Romo this season and become the all-time leading passer in franchise history. He will. He's like 3,000 yards away.
And there's like 9 records in the Cowboys record book that he's closing in on.
He will, if he stays healthy another season, he will have them. So he is the definition of that does not define, especially when you're playing football in 2025. We know every quarterback can get out there and put up big yardage. Like, that's not the question. The question is, can you win the big one? And I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
All right, well, why don't you tell me why you think he, this season, may not even be the guy who is the steward for this Cowboys offense?
Drum roll, please. I've been talking to Pete about this for 3 months. Listen to me, friends. I am not saying that I know for a fact Joe Milton is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I don't. He could suck. Like, he could. There's a reason that he's still a backup in the NFL, right? At the same time, when we talk about replacing a quarterback like Dak Prescott, what you want is potential. What you want is upside. Cooper Rush, God bless him, that's a top 3 or 4 backup quarterback in the NFL, but that's what he is. Joe Milton is too young. We don't know what he is. And here's what I like about Joe Milton. That dude can flick his wrist and throw that football 80 yards.
Yes.
The dude is physically freaky. Now, that doesn't mean anything. We've talked about Anthony Richardson and Carson Wentz being physically freaky, and they weren't long-term NFL starters. Anthony Richardson might be out of the league in 2 seasons. But the fact that you brought in Milton, you traded for him. You didn't just sign a guy off the street, right? You made a trade for him. I think that's a signal to maybe put something under Dak. And the bottom line is this, Pete. I think Milton is playing by week 8. I think he's playing by week 8. And it's either Dak can't stay healthy, which I don't wish for, but it's just very possible at this point in his career with his history. Or if the Cowboys are 2-6, which we've looked at that schedule, y'all. The Cowboys' schedule is pretty brutal this season.
Well, and it's also it's conceivable they get off to a rough start.
If the Cowboys are 2-6, why not? Like, at what point do we move on from Dak? I think with Milton, if you traded for Milton, you have to play him this season, and here's why. Because he's either going to show you, maybe this is the guy. Or like Trey Lance before, he doesn't have it. Now we need to start doing draft prep. And which of these – this is the deepest quarterback class coming up in this next draft that we've had in a long time. We've talked ad nauseum about the Big 12 guys. But there's SEC guys, Big 10 guys that are going to play in the NFL. I mean, there could be 9, 10 guys in this draft that get minutes in the NFL at quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you're the Cowboys, you need to find out this season what you have in Joe Milton and then draft a guy if it's not Joe Milton.
Yeah.
That's my perspective. I think Dak's got about 8 weeks to prove it.
Wow. So I like that, how you kind of put a time frame on it.
I'm giving him 8 weeks.
Well, I'm of the same school of thought. You and I talked before, and you were breaking my balls, but I was like, because prepping for these segments, you do research, right? And I was like, I just said to Scotty, I was like, Dak blows. I kind of said it tongue in cheek.
It's funny because I've been saying that since we've been friends.
Well, and you came down on me, right? But I did push back with, look, dude, I understand the like why they made that deal. I mean, I do. Like it's not like the most inconceivable thing in the world. You have statistically one of the better active quarterbacks in the NFL. I can understand.
Okay, but that's the thing I did when I was hosting the show for you that one time and compared him to Geno Smith. What does one of the better mean? Because I think statistically we've seen multiple sources that say he's mediocre. He's
you got to be realistic.
He's about 16th or 17th
You have to be realistic with your options, and I think they were. And I think that they felt like they were moving in the right direction with him, especially,
I could not disagree more. I'm going to tell you why. The two ways you win a Super Bowl in this era, and it's been this way for 20 years. It's not new. Either you pay a vet who's proven they can do it.
Yeah.
Mahomes, Brady, you pay what they want. They're going to win you a Super Bowl. Or you draft a rookie and you pay everybody else. That's how you get deep into the postseason. I think paying the 16th best quarterback in the NFL top tier money is the opposite of how you get to a Super Bowl in every way. And it's not just it was Dak. If it was Geno Smith, if it was Baker Mayfield. I love Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't want to give Baker Mayfield this contract. That's not how you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, which I still disagree with, but to your point, here's where things get a little clumsy, because now you're drafting a guard in the first round and Jerry Jones says we're showing our commitment, right, to Dak and to this thing that we have invested in. And so
you also have to figure out how to stop the Philadelphia Eagles. So.
Yeah, you do. But I also have had a scout tell me a guard is a guard is a guard, right? Like you can find guards. Okay.
The Zach Martin pick a decade ago would disagree with you, but I understand.
You know my point.
I understand the premise.
When you look at the overall percentage and success rate and really what kind of value you get there.
Right.
So I disagree. I think the Cowboys made the right move re-signing him. Now, here's what you have to do. And I think the Cowboys have been bad at this. You now have got to do what you said. You thinks this is the NFL. This is the Cowboys. You haven't won a title in 29 years. This dude's on the clock, man.
I'm 32, y'all.
This dude's on the clock. I
just want to see it.
I mentioned Jaden Quaintance to mess with some of my Cowboys friends. I was calling an Arizona State game. I went to Sun Devil Stadium, and it was at that point I had a revelation that the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, it was in a college football stadium. That stadium. They don't play Super Bowls in those stadiums anymore, dude. Like that's like the Stone Ages where they won. It's like the Steelers winning a Tulane Stadium, like in Super Bowl 8 or whatever that was. Like that's like a long time ago. So
again, I'm 32. Yeah. I have no conscious memory of the Cowboys. They technically won it in my lifetime, but I do,
and it was great. Like for Cowboys fans, it was horrible for me.
I believe it.
And to wrap this up, as we go to our first break here, I can tell you, subconsciously, the Cowboys, Netflix, Jerry Jones, they agree with you, because that preview for the Cowboys documentary that comes out, I think August 8th or August 18th, there was not one current Cowboy in there. Not even Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Calvin Watkins pointed that out too.
In the trailer,
yeah. Yep.
So, Dak's on the clock, man. That's all I'm going to say. I agree with you. And so now the best thing you can do is evaluate Dak and make a plan to move forward.
In investing, it's called stop loss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
When you make an investment,
Yeah.
you're watching that chart, you're
Yeah.
watching how it's performing, and you need to know when you make the investment.
Yeah.
Here's when I'm taking profits, or here's how long I'm leaving something, or if that chart starts to plummet,
Yeah.
here's where I'm pulling my money because I can't lose anymore. It's called stop loss, right?
Yes.
You have made a significant investment in Dak Prescott. Obviously financially, but also time.
Yeah.
It's been a decade. You have to have a stop loss. For me, it's week 8. If I'm on the staff, I'm saying by week 8 we're gonna know.
Yeah.
And if we're 5-3 and he's won a couple big games, dude, let's run. Let's go.
Yeah.
But if we're 2-6, if we're 3-5, and he's not, because remember, we've said this before the injury last season, he was not playing well.
Yeah.
He was not. He was throwing a lot of picks and not a lot of touchdowns. If he's doing that again through 8 weeks, you have to almost just, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt Jerry real bad because he's real loyal to his guys. That's why we brought no good Zeke Elliott back last year. Jerry loves his guys, but you got to move on. And that's why you traded for Joe.
Yeah.
It's why you traded for Joe Milton.
I don't
got to
know.
do it.
Yeah, well.
You got to.
It's not exactly Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But is Dak Prescott any better than Kirk Cousins? At least the Falcons had the wherewithal to they were paying Kirk Cousins a lot of money, and they got to a point where they went, nope.
Did you see Cousins said on the documentary Quarterback? My brother Mike was just texting me about it, and I saw PTI guys talking about it, Wilbon and Kornheiser, that he's been pretty transparent. Like he was shocked by that, and his like feelings were hurt, and he felt like he was misled by the Falcons.
Where he should have been most hurt is when they drafted Penix immediately after signing him.
Yeah.
When you draft Penix, you got to know if your Cousins, your leash is very short because Penix is really good. But yeah.
And all Michael Wilbon was like, this is an example of, and we're going to break after this. This is an example of, today in sports, like everybody is got a podcast, everybody's got a reality show, everybody's got a place to go to dump these emotions. Like Terry Bradshaw, when he wasn't getting along with Chuck Noll, he had nowhere to go, but it didn't mean he didn't feel the same way. These emotions have been stirring forever. All right, the Pete Sousa Show. We're going to step aside. We're going to come back with a relationship that I am excited about the potential as someone who likes to follow this garbage. And I'm not calling these people garbage, but the fact that I pay attention to this stuff is kind of my own garbage. And it's yours too, if you watch The Housewives or you're into stuff like this. We're going to come back, the Pete Sousa Show, and tell you why Tom Brady is still the GOAT.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
The Pete Sousa Show is back, and is the GOAT doing GOAT things? The GOAT, of course, is Tom Brady. And we are here for two reasons. One, we want to be accurate, right? That's the biggest part. That's the most important part of this show, right? We want to be accurate. So we don't want to be hyperbolic about certain situations that really aren't true. But when you see an article and then you see a bunch more about the potential of Tom Brady dating Sofia Vergara, you can be for goddamn sure we're going to talk about it here. And I can tell you that several outlets are starting to debunk the reality of this. The New York Post says they're having a summer romance. TMZ says they're both single and hanging out. I appreciate my boys at Bleacher Report, who I was hanging with some of them when I was at Media Days. Here's the first paragraph. I'm going to get. This is Tom Brady, Sofia Vergara, all we know right now. Okay, and Bleacher Report says Tom Brady is enjoying a busy summer before returning to the Fox broadcast booth for the NFL. But rumors of his relationship with Emmy-nominated actress Sofia Vergara are being overblown. So we don't have what looks like it will be a very modern family. I think the New York Post put it that way this morning. Brady and Vergara are not dating. This is per TMZ, even though they were recently photographed together on a yacht that took off from Rome. TMZ described the relationship between Brady and Vergara as a summer fling, but any notion that it is romantic is ridiculous. I think a fling, it's got to be romantic at some point, right? But where does? Yeah, okay. So you think romantic is intimacy? But you think so? So you're
sorry, I'll talk in the microphone. I don't know anything, dude.
So you're telling me that Tom Brady and Sofia Vergara have made out?
At a minimum.
You think so?
Why not? Why do you think they haven't?
Oh, I don't think they. Because I think that if they were to like make out, that's romantic. I'm old fashioned, dude. I don't know about you, bro. Speed merchant.
No, listen.
You know, if I'm kissing someone,
listen. You
by
and
the way,
I
don't kiss anybody but my beautiful fiance.
You and I can have those values. Tom Brady and Sofia Vergara don't have to have those values.
I mean,
in fact, I would suspect they don't.
What about journalistic integrity? Like, I mean, probably a bad combination to talk about the two at the same time.
I'll just say this,
here.
Pete.
But if they're saying that they're not romantic, then I would say that's not. We don't know as far as they're locking lips here.
Listen,
and I'm not talking about.
I think
kiss your mom.
I think the most likely scenario is they are not romantic.
Yeah,
but they are having a good time. I think so.
Yeah, but that gets. I mean, now we can talk about relationships. I don't look, man.
They're both attractive celebrities.
No, and I'm just saying, like,
that have been seen hanging around.
Yo, just because Tom Brady is the GOAT on the football field doesn't mean this dude can't catch feelings from Sofia Vergara and then have his heart broken.
Okay, but
we can go back to his former coach. Okay, these guys can do amazing work in one realm of their life, but can be a total disaster in another realm as you dart off the screen for this. But it's very true. Okay, so, but right now we can tell you they've been on a yacht together. Reportedly, Brady did ask to sit next to her at a dinner. That, again, was overseas. There was some overlap between the yacht party that they were on together when he asked to sit next to her. That's what we were just talking about. And the Jeff Bezos-Lauren Sanchez wedding that took place in Venice on June 27th. Brady was among those who attended. He spent time in Ibiza with his daughter last week. So, look, we can tell you also that Fox has not yet confirmed Brady's Week 1 assignment. The number one thing I take out of this is that, like, fame can take a guy like Tom Brady from San Mateo, California, always an outstanding athlete, but, you know, a 6th-round draft pick who looks much different today, right, than when he got into the NFL. But, like, fame is a strange thing. You know, I'm not saying, like, I would like to think, and I met Tom Brady once thanks to my friend Mark Magna. This was after Brady was not playing. It was after the Hall of Fame game. They played the 49ers. I was there with now Oklahoma general manager, Oklahoma football general manager Jim Nagy. Nagy and I were working together. We went to we were working for the War Room and SFX Sports. We went to the Hall of Fame game in 2000, and my buddy Mark Magna, who I played with at Richmond, was on the Patriots. And he's like, Sousa, come here. I want you to meet the best defensive lineman of all time. This is Willie McGinnis. And I met Willie McGinnis. And then he said, this is my friend Tom Brady. And I met Tom Brady. It was cool. Like, they were all hanging out by the bus after the game. That version of Tom Brady is much different than this version of Tom Brady, right? Where it's like he's just so famous and such a star that he's now in this orbit where, like, and Scotty, I want to ask you one question, one more question, okay? It's going to be awkward for you because it's not about sports and, you know, whatever. Can Tom Brady date a divorced single mother of two who lives in Highland Park? Like,
yes.
But why doesn't he? Like,
I don't know.
I think he's too famous.
I mean, yeah, like there's a real thing. The reason celebrities are always getting with other celebrities is there's a shared experience that I could never understand.
Yeah.
Right? I will never understand not only what it's like to be so publicly known as Tom Brady, but to have those resources, money, influence. Like, yeah. I will never comprehend that.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, how dreamy would it be if Caitlin Clark wanted to date me? But I will never understand I will never understand what that level of fame is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
no.
we would be horrible for each other. I can't. So there's I just got on the internet and convinced Caitlin Clark not to date me, which is terrible. She's also probably taller than me. So, but
she's with Fran McCaffrey's daughter. Or
son.
That's
cool.
Son, yeah.
Great.
Son, yeah. He played at Iowa.
Perfect.
Okay.
They're probably better for each other, athletes,
yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
But anyway, no, you can't, yeah. There's a reason. And there are a couple celebrities who've made it work, right? Like, we know the celebrities that have the nobody, like, spouse, and, like, that's probably a really nice, safe thing. But a lot of them, when you're in any dating relationship, you want someone who understands your experience to some level.
Yeah.
You want to be able to connect on that emotional, kind of intimate level.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to do when you're both freaking famous.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. At some point, maybe we just don't have that much in common, right? Like,
yeah. Like, our lived experiences are so freaking different.
Yeah.
I could never date a celebrity. Our lived experiences are
I think
so
you
different.
could.
Well,
I would be here for it. That's.
Oh gosh,
Scott,
I'm
could you imagine Scotty like doing a Sean Penn, like knocking the camera out of the paparazzi's hand, like like Tommy Lee, He would not. You would not want that invasion of privacy.
No, I would
right?
freak out, especially because I've got a little girl, dude. So I would freak out if you
That
started.
would be great publicity for the
You
show.
started.
For
Oh
the
my
show,
god.
though.
Yeah, because everybody wants to see.
Yeah,
me.
you would actually. If I was in charge, you'd actually have to date whoever it was. Our numbers would go. Pew. It'd be great, dude. And
Are you using me for financial gain, Pete Sousa?
Yeah.
Using my emotional.
It's about
safety?
time. Let's go. All right, the Pete Sousa Show. No, Scotty is worth. He is worth his weight in gold, folks. We know that. Since Scotty has come on, this show has gone to a different level, and those two things are not coincidental. So, tip of the cap to Scotty in reality. Scotty's our number one tennis player in America on the women's side. Sabalenka, okay, who I have always been sort of taken with. She just lost, dude. Damn. So an American beat her. Well, that kind of takes the air out of what I was just about to talk about. So Sabalenka, after bowing out of the French Open, where she lost in the French Open final to Coco Gauff, she has just lost to an American who is the 13th seed in Wimbledon. Of course, Sabalenka's number one. I'm still all in on Sabalenka. She's one of those performers that I when you turn the TV on and she's involved in a tennis match, I can't look away. She is so impressive as an athlete. She's so strong. She is very much like you never know what she's going to do next. She talked about working on her decorum after she kind of popped off during the French Open or following the French Open when she lost, talking about how all these unforced errors led to her losing in the French Open. And after she popped off, she kind of walked back and said, hey, I need to be better than that. I'm working on it. And even last 2 days ago, when she was almost run out of the tournament by another obviously underwhelming opponent, she talked about how mentally she stayed in because she just didn't quit. She didn't quit. And that gave the idea that it's sometimes maybe she does quit, like not intentionally, but mentally sometimes you can get beaten. And I think the world of her, and I love watching her, so that sucks that she lost. And when I say I think the world of her, I think the world of her as an entertainer. I don't know her as a person. But she's one of those athletes that's absolutely electric when she's out there. And she sort of transcends the sport, which is really cool. And this take would have been so much better if she hadn't have just lost. So I swear it would have been. They're not all home runs. But now that we're talking about tennis, okay, and the tennis greats, this is something I wanted to get to earlier in the week. I did not have time. But something happened this weekend, something I saw, and it really, really frustrated me. And I'm going to tell you what it was. It was the fact that I was watching The Real Housewives of Miami, okay, with my lovely fiance, who once in a while, who I'm outing right now, watches The Real Housewives. By the way, who doesn't? That's cool. I don't have an issue with that at all. I wish Christy would watch more trash TV like that. I always tell her she'd be a little bit more relatable because she's so buttoned up and just is so, has her stuff together that it's more relatable when she watches junk TV like that. So we were watching Real Housewives of Miami, and all of a sudden I'm looking at Martina Navratilova. And Martina Navratilova is sitting down at a baby shower with her beautiful wife, who I guess was married for years to a dude. And then, this happens. She realized she had other needs and interests. So she is now with Martina Navratilova, and they're married, and they're about to adopt 2 boys. So there's a big bridal shower for these 2 women in Miami. So now I'm looking at, conceivably, the best women's tennis player of all time, seated down with these women who, by the way, I don't care, say whatever you want about me, 90% of them look crazy because of all the stuff they've done to their faces. Crazy. Like Larsa Pippen, who was married to Scottie Pippen, looks like a completely different person than she did when she was married to Scottie. And some of the behavior is just like, it's kind of gut-wrenching, right? Yeah, I don't want to judge, but I'm judging. It's like, are these guys like, we used to call them cleat chasers or whatever. I do feel like Martina has a realistic, great relationship with her significant other. And so they're adopting these two children, so they have a bridal shower, and the bridal shower is just so weird, right? It's at a restaurant in Miami. It's on TV, and Martina is such a good sport, but at the same time, you know that this is begrudgingly she's doing this, right? For the woman she loves, who's on this show, who has a profile. So I did want to look at some of the athletes that have been on, okay, The Real Housewives. And this will give you an idea of why I was so shocked to see Martina. Because Martina is one of the best tennis players of all time. And by the way, the fact that she was such a superstar in the women's game, I think also kind of makes her special, because she was a star in the women's game during a time when the women's game and women's sports were really evolving, right? Like late 70s into the 80s. Like you got Billie Jean King beating up on Bobby Riggs, right? That was like such a huge moment in women's sports. The women's tour is created, right, in the 70s. And these women are finally making money, right? And Martina comes on board a little later in that experience, but like she's certainly a part of it, right? Completely transcending the sport of women's tennis. And now she's on The Real Housewives? Like, I saw that. I'm like, seriously? So now Martina, one of the best of all time, is in a category, and these are the best athletes ranked online here, so I know it's really important and official, but Croy Bierman was married to Kim Zoliak. He was like, backup linebacker for Atlanta. I think he played for a little bit. Jim Edmonds was a great player. He was married to Megan King. They're divorced now. Bob Whitfield was a really good left tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. He might be the best one on this list so far. Bob Whitfield was awesome. So he's been on with his wife, Cherie. And then Donnie Edwards, great linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Catherine Edwards is his wife. Scottie Pippen and Larsa Pippen, right? Scottie right away pole vaults to the top of that list. Then we have, I don't know who Phil Bardsley is. He was on. Ben Tankard. Honestly, he played in the NBA, but he had a cup of coffee. I don't know who he is. Cordell Stewart has been on the show. He's pretty good. And let's see who else. Juan Dixon, great in college. Had a career in the NBA. These are all people, remember, who have been on The Housewives. Not their main character. They've been with people who have been on, much like Martina Navratilova. Glenn Rice. That's okay. Okay. I think college champion and I think maybe NBA champion as well. Okay, Glenn. Eric Snow, point guard on the Sixers team that Iverson drugged to the championship, and they lost to the Lakers in 2001. Eddie Jordan had a chance to be there was a point in time when he was coaching the Wizards and Gilbert Arenas was on the team when he was like a real hot up-and-coming coach. That didn't end well with the Wizards or with the Sixers afterwards. It's not good. So that's the list, right? I think right away on that list, I would put Bob Whitfield, Scottie Pippen, and Martina is head and shoulders above the rest of these jamokes. So that's an issue I have. We need to get Martina off of The Real Housewives, okay? I want her off. Scotty. All right, we got to go because I have to run up to North Texas for an appointment that will lead to a colonoscopy, which I need to get because, can you believe it or not, I'm older than 35. We're going to go now. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to have Cam Stewart. Cam is going to talk to us about Baylor football and a possible huge recruit, and also where that program is headed when we start to get ready for football, as now we are 50 days away from the start of college football for Baylor, right, and everybody else who starts week 1. Pete Sousa Show will be back tomorrow. Thank you, Slovacic.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We love.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this, is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.